We want to shift the dialogue away from centralized frauds like FTX and towards the positive use cases that enable financial access, such as microlending.
Hello and welcome to the Business of Blockchain. I'm Jane King at the Nasdaq MarketSite. Today we're diving into microlending, a new type of lending platform powered by blockchain technology. It's giving the working poor chances to succeed they never dreamed possible before. What lessons can we learn from this experience? This special report highlighting a blockchain use case is sponsored by Bitdeer and Verta Ventures. We'll dive into this discussion with our panel, but first consider these stories from Kenya and customers of a company called Jia. Francis, a spice vendor, had plenty of customers but could only afford to buy stock in small quantities. He struggled to make a profit. But since he obtained a loan from Jia, Francis now buys spices in bulk and serves more customers. He also told us he's purchased land for the first time, where he now plans to build his home. Inventory financing from Jia also helped a medical clinic purchase medicines for its patients and made it possible for a school to secure textbooks and pay teachers. Jia is able to provide these borrowers and many others like them access to credit because of the blockchain's ability to establish their credit worthiness. And here to unpack this lending model and discuss its broader implications are Jia co-founder and CEO Zac Marks, Verda Ventures general partner Alex Witt, and Huma Finance head of business and operations Jaou Torry. So great to have you all here. So Zac, the working poor can now obtain loans even if they never had a credit card or a loan before. So how does micro-lending on the blockchain make that possible?
Well, micro-lending is just like any lending, only the size of the loans are smaller. It's micro, and the size of the payments, the transactions they're doing from their customers and to their suppliers are smaller as well. And because of these micro size, a lot of banks would say, we can't lend to these folks. We don't have any data about them we can use to underwrite, and it's too expensive to send money to them in such small amounts. And the blockchain actually solves a lot of those problems. It makes the cost of transactions lower, so now someone like Francis could be receiving payments from his customers and sending payments to his suppliers using the blockchain and lower transaction fees. And now with those transactions, we're actually creating some data, and that can be used basically as a credit score for him.
And even on mobile, too, there's a way they can make those transactions as well.
That's right. I mean, we reach Francis on a mobile application, so he's not doing anything on a computer. It's all just on his phone.
Your website says that Jia offers borrowers an ownership stake in the company as well. So tell us about that and ways that Jia is different.
Yeah, so we have a token-based reward system, which rewards our borrowers with ownership. So they're not just customers on the end of a transaction, they're really owners and members of this community, almost like a local cooperative. And traditionally, most people, they save and borrow in informal credit cooperatives where they're already owners. And when I was working at a lending company before Jia, a lot of our borrowers would actually ask us, hey, I've been borrowing with you guys for a couple of years, so can I have some ownership shares? And there's no good way for a US company to distribute ownership around the world, but with the blockchain, we can represent that ownership on-chain in the form of a token and make it quite seamless to make Francis or any of our borrowers owners.
Really interesting. So Alex, let's turn to you. How big is the financing gap in the US and globally, and what is the trend?
Yeah, so globally there's about 1.4 billion people that are unbanked, according to the World Bank. And within the US, it's about 5% of the population that's completely unbanked, and then approximately 20% that is underbanked, according to the Fed and FDIC. So there's a huge segment of the population that is really underserved, and blockchain gives us the opportunity to lower the barriers to entry and really provide a trusted solution to people who right now don't have that access.
Jaou, you work at Huma Finance. It's a decentralized finance protocol facilitating this type of lending. In fact, Jia uses the infrastructure. Do you think that the Jia business model can gain adoption here in the US?
Absolutely, I believe so. Small businesses really are the engine of the global economy and also the US economy. I believe that the blockchain will probably transform global capital markets generally. They provide transparency and trust. They provide efficiency to move capital, and they also provide a layer of equity that all societies need.
Now, Mayor Eric Adams here in New York has talked about the asylum seeker crisis. There's thousands of people coming. He wants to make it possible for them to find work and to earn an income. Is there a way that this blockchain-based micro-lending could solve that problem? Anybody want to weigh in? Or all of you can, actually, if you want to give
Gotta
it.
take a
Alex, do you
second
want to
to think.
start?
Sure, I'm happy to start. Ultimately, blockchain and mobile wallets can enable the transfer of value, just like the internet enabled the transfer of information, which basically means the costs go to zero. And so it's precisely this segment of the population, for example, that can benefit from this lower cost entry. And we view financial access as kind of the initial building block to engagement in the economy. So if you don't have any financial access, it's hard for you to, for example, receive payment from somebody who is not next to you and can give you cash. And so really we view financial access as the first step in enabling employment for a segment of the population that is currently very underserved.
Jaou, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, what I wanted to add, I totally agree with what you said, Alex. And I think on top of that, by having a wallet, by transacting on the blockchain over time, beneficiaries or borrowers create a track record. So for refugees or any kind of unbanked populations which don't have credit scores, we may not have data associated with their consumption patterns. It is very important to build that track record over time. So I think the blockchain can help with that over time and create basically a track record that can be used by a number of institutions like the GS of this world to underwrite borrowers and provide credit.
Yeah. Now, we know microlending works clearly. We've talked about that. What about large loans? Is that an underserved market that we could see some solutions to, Zac?
For sure. I mean, in the markets where we serve, Francis, like Kenya, it's not just micro businesses like one guy with a spice shop, but we even find quite significantly larger enterprises that we've been serving. So we don't just do loans of $500, we've done some loans of $50,000 because there's a real need for that.
Yeah. Alex, what would your message be to U.S. lawmakers about the importance of this innovation?
Yeah. Our vision is that anyone with a mobile phone should have access to financial tools equivalent to a bank account, and we want to shift the dialogue away from centralized frauds like FTX and towards the positive use cases that enable financial access, such as microlending.
Now, Zac, Francis, your customer from Kenya, we talked about earlier, had something he wanted to tell our viewers, so let's have a listen.
It is my wish and my prayer that people will get the information, people they'll get to know how GIA can lift you up. Because if GIA has been that bridge to me, I know it can be a bridge to someone else, and I know it can be even a bridge to you.
Now, in case some viewers had trouble understanding what Francis just said, I will quote him now. It is my wish and my prayer that people will get this information and people will get to know how GIA can lift you up, because if GIA can be a bridge to me, I know it can also be a bridge to someone else and even to you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Francis, for that wonderful quote.
It seems you've made a lot of friends along the way, Zac. Is this personal to you?
Super personal to me. I mean, even the story of Francis is quite personal. I actually met him because I was walking through his market and stumbled upon his stall, and a local restaurant owner came by to buy some spices, and Francis didn't have enough inventory to make the sale, and that's where I got to chatting with him and realized it's such a problem, right? He could have been able to buy more stock at a lower cost. We could make more margin and make this transaction. And I love seeing him grow his business, and I just learned he bought a piece of land. So congrats, Francis.
Thank you so much, Zac, for sharing your story. Alex, Jaou as well. That is it for today's edition of The Business of Blockchain. This special report highlighting a blockchain use case is sponsored by Witt and Verda Ventures. I'm Jane King at the Nasdaq MarketSite.